This is Gateway City Sports.
It's a trap!
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
This is the Team of Rivals podcast.
Everything you want to hear from the big sports to the big screen.
He's all by himself, fires into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! No!
Vaughn into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
He doesn't like you. I don't like you either.
Time winding down, Michael for three. Yes! She is gone!
I can't believe what I just saw.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! You believe in miracles? Yes!
You may fire when ready.
What?
I am so glad you're back.
This jackass. Happy 420, everybody.
He really knows how to play the bit, doesn't he?
Do I mute him?
Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Team of Rivals podcast. Pete is on drugs.
God. We can't. Should we try it again?
Take two.
My only fear is
Welcome
that
to Cardinals fans to the Team of Rivals podcast, proud members of the Gateway City Sports Network, where you can find great podcast and blog content. It's Thursday, 420, and Elliot was late to the show, and we were sure that he was high. But when he told us that he wasn't, I just figured that I would go with the bit. Maybe. Follow us on social media, Team of Rivals Pod, or find us online at teamofrivalspodcast.com. For those of you who prefer to watch the show, we also post to YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble, like tonight where we're live streaming. So hit the like and subscribe button to be sure that notifications are on so that you know anytime we post new content. Elliot, I was so looking forward to it. I'm not prompting you to talk. I'm just letting you know that I was so looking forward to it. But of course, count on the Reds to ruin our fun and not allow us to go into week 4.
I know.
Of the baseball season with the Cardinals tied for last in the Central. But, you know, as Ron said, they stink. So he's wearing a City jersey because he is the ultimate bandwagon fan. Joining me for this week's show, permanent occasional guest host and frequent 420 partaker, Elliot Dewey, co-founder of TOR and number 125 in the 2022 edition of the Top Cards on Twitter.
Wow.
Ron Nuttall.
All right. Well, we're off to a rip-roaring start. That was, I wonder how many, shit, I'm not going to look. Not even going to bother. I'm not going to pull up the feed because I don't know how many people we lost in the first.
I cannot wait until the people listen to the audio the audio only, because they're going to be like, what
Did those guys know that they were recording this part? I don't think they edited very well. That's exactly what it's going to be like. And that's fine. Whatever. We've done that before. Yeah, good to have all three of us here. In fact, we were like debating on which intro music we're going to have to do, whether you showed up or not, Elliot. So we got all three of us here. I had to scramble a little bit to get everything ready, but let's go. Let's do it. We got some oddball shit to talk about here. Actually, I thought going into this week, I'm like, God, is this really another week of just games? We got a little bit more than that, man.
Yeah, we do, because the Cubs are the best team in baseball by certain metrics. Just saying. I mean, okay, fine. Best team in the NL. They do have the highest run differential in the National League right now.
Which is crazy to think, because we didn't think that would be their MO for the season.
Well,
we thought it was going to be based on defense and good starting pitching with a decent bullpen.
Well,
all of which they've gotten.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
You know, you got Cody Bellinger hitting his 4th home run of the season, his 20th hit of the season. He was plus 420 to hit a home run tonight against his former team. And I think that the official measurement was that ball went 420 feet.
Yes, it was.
All on 420.
Wow. And but yeah, for all the things that we've been saying, hey, Pete's been right. I'm gonna take his sound down for a second. You know, for all of the Pete's been right posts you've put up, Elliot, or text, I told you guys, and by the way, I don't think you can establish an MO 19 games into the year yet.
No, absolutely not.
But I told you, both of you this year, you were going to enjoy this roster. You were going to enjoy this team. This is a one stop for some of these guys while they try to reestablish themselves or get something a little bit bigger. Who knows? They might stick around. You were going to enjoy this roster. Look at some of the names on there. The how many of these guys sold jerseys elsewhere, and now they got Cubs jerseys on? You know, Cody Bellinger, Dansby Swanson. Who else here? I'm going to forget all of them, but like
Hosmer.
You are going to enjoy this, man. This is a lot of these guys are trying to just get back at it. And here they are. They're all in the same spot. I told you were going to enjoy this. I did. I said it.
Yeah, but there's always bad news. The bad news this time is, to my chagrin, Cubs extended Ian Happ.
Oh, did they really? I missed that. I missed it.
3 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
Well, to your chagrin. Your chagrin.
3 years, 61 or $60 million, somewhere right around there.
So I got to stare at that son of a bitch in a tight game, because inevitably he's always going to come up, and he's just going to annoy me for a minimum at least of another 2 years, right?
At least.
Now, Pete, your hang up on Ian Happ, is it?
Well, there's lots of hang ups.
I mean, I know it's many things.
Mm-hmm.
He got this extension based on one good year.
Correct, but we're 20 games into the season. He's still looking like he did last year. If he continues for the remainder of this year,
I don't buy it.
No,
I don't care.
Okay.
He could go. He could go all.
He's made his mind up.
You will never see me in an Ian Happ jersey.
Well, I wasn't expecting that, but say the next 3 years of his contract, he hits above league average and he gets another 2 Gold Gloves. Worth it?
Okay, sure, great.
You have to say yes to that. I even nodded my head yes.
Yeah,
and I hate that son of a bitch.
Yeah, great. Yeah, obviously it's worth it. It doesn't mean that I have to be happy that he's on my team. I don't like the guy.
You don't have to be happy.
No, I don't have to be happy.
No. Okay, you texted me
on 420.
You texted. That was a little too happy. More than happy, I guess. Okay, so told you we're going to enjoy this team. I think they're going to be fun for you guys to watch. This will be unique. You won't see this group. Well, you can say that about every baseball team. You're not going to see this group together. You're not going to see this situation again in Chicago for a while. You got this collection of guys. I mean, it's going to be fun. I'm telling you, you guys are going to enjoy it. Are the Cardinals fans?
There was actually just a story in The Athletic today about how this team gets along. I think they said that they've already had like 3 or 4 team dinners. And one of the guys who was on the team last year said that that's 3 or 4 more dinners that they had as a team than all of last season. So if anything, they're having fun.
I don't care about that stuff. But you got to think about,
if they're having fun, we get to
why
have fun.
are they having fun though? Right. You got to look at it. Not a lot of pressure, not a lot of pressure. Not
their
not
red ass
ton of it.
catcher is playing 300 miles south.
Yeah, and there's we can talk about that in a minute.
Spanking it up.
Hey, he got MadBum DFA'd. Telling you, if you fuck with Wilson, man, you get DFA'd.
No. He didn't get him DFA'd. He got him unofficially traded to the Cardinals.
Exactly.
I don't want to jump that hurdle yet. We're not jumping. We are not jumping that. No. That's mine, and I'm taking it here in a little bit. I want to get through the Cubs first. I know where you guys are going, and I'm a little disappointed.
Okay, you want to get through the Cubs first.
Let's get through the Cubs first because obviously they're playing pretty well, but I think the expectations have been relatively low for what they're expected to accomplish this year. Which fair enough, right? Like you run into that every once in a while, but the pressure's not there. You're just enjoying it. You're enjoying it, for guys like Bellinger, Hosmer. It's probably a 1-year stop. They know that, so they're going to enjoy it. Hey, look, these guys haven't been able. They've been former All-Stars. Top 5, whatever MVP candidates. Bellinger has one under his belt, so it's a unique opportunity for some of these guys to get together in a city, a good city for baseball. I mean, if you turn out a pretty good season, you're going to have a lot of support and you're going to have a lot of fun, right? Let's just be fair about it. The expectations aren't there to do any of that. So if they do part of that, even get there part way, it'll be a good year and it'll be a fun year for the fans. I hate to say it, but I told you this was bound to happen.
It's odd when the Cardinals fan has more optimism than the 2 Cubs fans.
I didn't say they were going to win the division or anything, but you know what? Imagine the reception if they do, like this hodgepodge. Imagine like if the ownership pivots or front office pivots, a third of the way in and be like, fuck it. You know what? We're gonna deal for some stuff now because we're gonna catch a little bit of lightning in a bottle here we didn't expect, and here we go. You never know, guys.
Well, I'm not necessarily a believer right now. I'm gonna give it, another.
You guys are getting way smarter. I am proud of both of you. I am so proud of both of you. You would not have been saying this 5 years ago. You would have there would have been a line of powder on that mustache because you would have snorted that all up. And now you guys are being cautious now. Unbelievable.
You know what would have been said 5 years ago?
Pretty much Ian Happ has the job.
There we go.
Right. You're damn right. I would have said that.
Lead off this year. He's probably going to lead the game off at least 15 times this year with a home run, and that's just a leadoff.
It is out of the realm of possibility. He is not going to hit 15 leadoff home runs this year. Elliot, this one's going to come back, and it's going to be fun.
Man, I was right again.
It still is.
And 5 years later, we're still playing it. That may be our single best drop in
that was
7
really good.
years of this show.
That was the it was the iconic moment for the show of finger waving declaration.
And the best part of it was that both of you contributed to that one.
But here's the thing: if you had told me what was going to be our best sound clip from a finger waving declaration, I would have put my money on Pete, no doubt. And it came from Elliot. I'm surprised.
I don't know. I think the best part of that finger waving declaration in there was you, Ron, saying, "Elliot, this one's going to come back and it's going to be fun."
I don't like declarations. You know my stance.
He had his crystal ball in front of him, and he got all clouded up, and he could see the future.
If you guys want to pivot to St. Louis, I'm willing to do that now. I don't want to talk about the pitching yet. If you want to talk about your catcher, that's fine. Not off to a hot start. Everybody on social media, but Cardinals fans, are like, "What do you think about that Cardinals pitching staff now that Wilson's catching them?" I think they're goading Cardinal fans out there on social media to start dogging on the catcher for the pitching. Now, pitching got off to. Well, it's happened a little bit. I've picked it up every now and then. I ignore it because I'm gonna stick to my guns and say they're gonna give Wilson a pretty long leash in terms of how the pitching staff's performing. Right. I was skeptical I've been that way for the last 3 years in the same way. May have been even worse this year, my expectations on how the pitching was going to perform. And it hasn't been great. Now they're starting to fall back a little bit towards the middle of the pack if you look at a lot of the metrics. But gosh, look at those first couple of weeks. I mean, how terrible. Miles Michaelis looked really bad. Flaherty looked okay in his first start, but if you ignore the walk column, Jordan Hicks in the bullpen has been just awful. Wainwright's still quite not. It's guys, there's too much to like take inventory of the issues that the pitching has. And lo and behold, the offense started. Look at that first Toronto series. That offense looked pretty serious. The young kid Jordan Walker has really made an impression. A hitting. I don't know when his hitting streak ended, but he looks 13, like for real. I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right, which is an unlucky number. So I wish he would have stopped at 12 maybe. But we'll see with the league. You know how I am with these rookies, Pete. Been this way for like the 6.5 years we've done this. Let's see how they perform the second time around once the league starts to learn them a little bit and has a plan. We'll see how you adjust to it. But all signs look pretty good. The outfield looks pretty strong. Little drama around Tyler O'Neill, not hustling out, I guess, a play at home. Dogged it a little bit is what you would look like if you were looking at it from the outside. But it hasn't been great to watch. I've watched very little baseball. In fact, I think I've caught a half game here and there. And I'm telling you, man, I am falling in that thing again where if I have what limited free time I have with coaching two boys and their teams, we all have full-time jobs. You know how this goes, man.
Ron, are you saying you're more into City than you're into the Cardinals?
Shit. I have not missed a minute of MLS.
He hasn't missed a minute of
30 minutes. I
haven't missed a single match, is it?
I've missed 30 minutes on Saturday because it was a rain delay because of weather in Midwest. And Apple hasn't figured this out yet. It wouldn't let anybody watch the game for like the first 30 minutes because it assumed that the game was over when it hadn't even started yet. So I did miss 30 minutes. But other than that, man, I have not missed a single minute of City. It has been the most fun I've had watching a sports for a number of years now. And I hate to feel that way because I want to enjoy baseball again. I'm just finding it really tough, guys. And I've been this way. How long now, Pete? At least 3.5 years, right? It's been serious, man. It's been hard to do, and I don't like feeling that way. I'm just being honest about it. It's a struggle for me to spend my free time watching them.
Elliot, let's see how far down the hole he's gone. Ron, what's your favorite sport currently?
It's still baseball. It's going to take a lot to dethrone that.
Okay, okay, fine. What sport are you watching the most right now?
Well, Little League baseball, to be honest with you. That's what I spent the most hours doing.
What professional sport are you watching the most of right now?
Right here, I'm pointing to it. MLS.
What sport is that?
Major League Soccer.
Oh, okay. Not too bad. What do they call the big expanse of grass upon which they play the game?
The pitch. I've known that for a while.
So Ron, what happens when at the end of 45 minutes? What happens after that?
Stoppage time, if there is any.
Son of a. And the guy who stands right in front of the goal and tries to head kick,
striker,
do whatever. Oh shit! We may have to stage an intervention, Elliot. He knows way too much. When he starts calling it football, it's over.
Either
I haven't
that
done
or
that
he's
yet.
watching a whole lot of Ted Lasso.
I have kept up on that series. I don't know if you guys watched this week. This week was
yep.
If you watched it,
not.
you both have watched. Oh, you haven't,
Of course,
Elliot?
I watched it on Tuesday night when it dropped.
Holy fuck! Teaching Roy Kent how to ride a bike was maybe the funniest shit I've seen on that show the entire time.
Yeah, I haven't watched.
You got to watch it. I won't
gotta-
spoil it for you, Elliot. It is
Yeah.
one of the best parts I've ever seen on that show.
Oi!
Yeah, Elliot, did you listen to the last show? That was what, 3 weeks ago, Ron? When Ron and I
probably.
went down the rabbit hole of why we think Ted Lasso, or actually why part of the reason anyway.
And soccer's
why we
growing so
think,
much. Yeah.
St. Louis is so popular right now.
No, that was wedding week.
You'll have to go back and listen to it because I think that we've pretty expertly delved into why it was that football has taken off in the Arch City.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
well, I think in a lot of other
you know-
places too, though. But yes, and definitely, I think the timing where St. Louis won a team and got to start their team and having Ted Lasso the prior couple of years while all of that momentum was building up for their very first inaugural season. That was impeccable timing. If you were going to have interest drawn to the game by anything from the entertainment world, boy, they couldn't have. St. Louis couldn't have been any luckier than to have that lineup right there. Still on the same page with you, Pete, on that. I think that didn't hurt.
Well,
for sure.
It's just coming off the World Cup this past year too. Yeah. Really, I think that helps too, because I felt like there was a lot more interest in the U.S. this year than there has been in past years.
I think there is too, and I'm even surprised myself. I'll be honest about it. I mean, the first week they allowed everybody access on the MLS Pass on Apple Plus. So I was like, well, I'll definitely try, see what's going on in the first game, and it wasn't a home game for them anyway. But then it's like, fuck, well, I want to see their first home game, so I'm going to do this for a month. Yeah, I'm going to do it for another month. So I've kept going with it, which I've surprised myself that I've been that much into it. And the cool thing is my wife and I, besides watching a few shows, like we don't really watch sports together anymore. I'm always in a different room watching. I don't blame her either. If you weren't a diehard baseball fan watching baseball right now, if your team is, mediocre or below, like, how can you expect your spouse to sit there through that shit? I won't even do it, right? So the fact that we kind of watch this MLS together has been kind of a fun thing too. And Braden got the family share thing, so he's been watching it. He's been watching it too, which is
nice.
Little weird.
Welcome to Soccer Talk with the team of rivals.
Yeah.
Hey, I go to soccer practice on Tuesday nights and games on Saturdays with Eli. So,
and I'm dating a soccer mom, so I guess we got the trifecta.
Oh, new details.
Literal.
Didn't
soccer
know
mom
this.
kids on
Okay, all right.
She got the minivan with a soccer ball in the back window.
No, she drives a RAV4 with a soccer ball in the back window.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'll hit the end stream and you can fill me in on those. I didn't. Okay. News to us. Breaking right here live. I can't even ask you what about. I can't even ask.
I told you we were going to come down and visit in June.
Okay. You didn't give me that much detail though.
No, you're right. But I didn't say that Liam and I were coming to visit in June.
I had assumed that.
That was probably assumed.
Yes.
You know what they say about assuming?
Ass.
You, Elliot, just can't finish the job.
Don't tell me you haven't been
smoking anything.
All right.
So we talked about the pitching, but really, like, we could have a whole segment on how screwed you guys are with Jordan Hicks, because not only is he a mess, but you guys you're painted into the worst possible corner, right? Because you brought him up so young. He's now achieved enough service time that he can reject an assignment to the minor leagues. And I believe
this sounds like
his last ARB year. He's a free agent, right?
I think that's right. I'm not 100% certain on that, but yeah, they are kind of boxed in on this, and this is unfortunate, right? First of all, let's be I'll be a human here to Jordan Hicks first and say that, like, I hate to see this happen to a young man who was brought up and had so much promise, and just, the wheels fell off, right? Then you had COVID. He's a diabetic. He had to opt out that year, which I totally, I think most people, rational people, support a decision made like that, right? Because we just didn't know. And then he had Tommy John, and it's been one thing after another, and you hate to see this happen to anybody. So the human side of he's like, shit, this is tough luck. This is like an Alex Reyes type of thing with them, where all the talent in the world, but circumstances, bad luck, all of it, whatever it is, it's not working out. But yeah, it sucks. And
to confirm, if he gets the full year of service time this year, he becomes a free agent at the end of the year. But you can't send him down because he can reject an assignment.
He has to agree to it. Yeah.
So basically, what do you do with the guy, right? Nobody's going to trade for him.
There's
You're not
only
get anything for him.
I mean, you only have one option if you are. You can. One option is to be a little patient here, see if you can figure it out over the next few weeks. Right, which is what I believe they're probably more likely to do.
Sounds like he needs to go to the Cubs pitch lab.
I don't even know what to say to that. I think they're likely to be a little patient right now. Obviously, another option is to DFA him. I mean, we just saw Arizona DFA MadBum, and what? How much did they swallow on that deal this year? 34 million.
I believe it's 34 million.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't know how that couldn't be an option for him, but I don't know if they'll consider it. There are definitely options in the minor leagues that are probably on the borderline of being able to come, and that's why they're not. I've joked today about MadBum because, hey, here it is, veteran lefty. That's right in the Cardinals' wheelhouse, man. They've done it the last 2 years with John Lester, Jay Happ, who's another older guy too. I can't remember his name. He's a left-hander, and of course, they traded for Jordan Montgomery and Jose Quintana. It's like all these old, aging lefties, man. They'd love to bring them in, and I have had my money all year on Rich Hill. That I can already.
You know what? Maybe this year is the superfecta. You get Rich Hill and MadBum.
See, I don't think the difference, I think, this year than the last couple of years is they do have some minor league options. They just didn't have an abundance of them. I don't think the prior years. Matthew Levator is doing really well at AAA, deserves a shot to come up, and I do believe that's likely. A couple other youngsters too. I think they have a few more options right now that might be more readily available, ready to play, than what they had in previous years. So I think somebody else is going to pick up MadBum, obviously, and I don't believe it's going to be the Cardinals. It might be a little bit disappointing because you like to see this trend continue for like 4 or 5 years of picking these aging guys up that are happen to all be left-handers. But you know what? I think the streak's going to be broken this year. I don't even think they're going to get Rich Hill because the Pirates are going to the World Series, man.
See, I'm so disappointed. I really want to see them pick up MadBum because I want to see your first ever same team battery fight. I want to see MadBum shake off Wilson Contreras and the two of them just beat the hell out of each other.
I was hoping that they would have signed him before he even left St. Louis and just sent Wilson to the airport to just go snag him.
Go pick him up.
Yeah.
They're just pulled over on the side of the interstate, just beating the hell out of each other. Oh God, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, if there's any that could have been likely, two fiery individuals in a battery. Hell, he could have gotten into a fight with Molina if he's still there. Who knows?
Yeah, and your manager could call both of them out publicly rather than taking care of it in the clubhouse.
Foolish.
That's a good way to create some clubhouse chemistry and camaraderie.
You've jumped to another story, which is it's cringeworthy, right? I mean, like, how can you not know? Or I get it, being tough, reaching back to that Matheny era, even La Russa era, and being like, I'm the manager, this is how things work. But I don't know how you can do that and then
Isn't
double
that the
down on it
Cardinal
later.
way?
No.
I have no problem with him calling out his player, right? Like, if you look at the video objectively, it does look like O'Neill was dogging it, right?
But you and I both know the right way to do it is to, like, I'm going to talk to him about it, but then stop there.
Right. To call him out in the media.
Yeah.
You only do that when it's clear that the player is not getting the message and that there's no other way than to embarrass him. Because what message does that send to the rest of the clubhouse, right? Oh, shit, if I screw up, I'm going to get called out in the media. Why would I want to be here?
And that organization's been very, very sensitive and quick trigger finger to eliminate people that, let's just say this, like, I know they're not big on the free agent game, right? But even if you're going to trade and sign, like they've been known to do, like, you got a manager doing that kind of thing, man. It hurts your chances a little bit, right? Like they don't want that negativity associated with them. So it'll be interesting to see how this is going to be dealt with long term. I don't know. I don't know how much of this the team's record right now. I look at Marmol and associate it with him. I think most of the finger pointing really has to go to the roster construction in the front office at this point. I don't know if there's anything that Ollie has necessarily done that I look at and go, well, shit, they could have won 4 more games if he wouldn't have made these decisions. I mean, he has who he has to call on, and so I don't know that the outcome would be much different. So he chooses to not maybe throw Hicks one night and throws Gallegos instead. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a game or two in there where it's maybe fallen on his shoulders, but I don't think he's done a terrible job, but I think that was a misstep on his part. It was a bad call.
Well, and I think a lot of it goes back to the Cardinals kind of not going after the pitching that everybody's been calling for the last couple of years for them to go after.
Yeah, literally everybody. Yeah.
And like you said, they'll get that lefty veteran reliever or veteran starter at, the trade deadline, but they're not getting somebody at the beginning of the season that can come in, establish a rapport with the team, and then maybe stay or sign an extension or something like that. So that's one thing that we really haven't seen them do in a long time. I mean, your best pitchers are your established veteran pitchers that have been there for 30 years.
Well, they've got some guys that I want to see them start taking a chance on, right? I mean, it's like now or never for some of them. Like, you're either going to call them up and give them a shot or you're not.
Right.
Now, they did sign Matz a couple of years ago in the offseason, which is a little different for them. I guess probably seen that happen with pitchers most often, where they're bringing in a pitcher that actually hasn't put on the uniform yet. They've done that, going back to Mike Leake, and I'd probably pull out a couple of other examples where they've gone after some pitching when they desperately need it. I don't know what else they would have done in this offseason. There were definitely people available, but I think they've got enough, I think, in the system where they think they can fill it from within if they need to. So that's the only thing it's the only possible reason I can think of, other than, Bally going tits up and they're going to lose revenue. So they halted all spending at some point.
Which, as we discussed in the last show, that
Go
Elliott
City.
missed.
Go City.
We did discuss that, right? Was part of the reason that the Cardinals didn't go as aggressively after they signed Wilson was because they started to project what might happen if the regional sports networks went exactly the way that they did and how that would affect their bottom line. I mean, we've talked about it. They're probably more reliant on their share of RSNs than a lot of other teams are.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag. It's not the same for all of them.
They're one of the big teams that is affected by this. Cardinals, Arizona Diamondbacks, Oakland A's, one
Good
other
segue. I can't wait for that one. Yeah.
Seattle too. So
yeah.
You mean the Las Vegas A's?
Las Vegas A's. That's
has any team, I don't think so. Has any team in professional sports moved more than the A's? Because they started in Philadelphia.
Good question, man. Yeah, you're right. It was the Philadelphia A's. They ended up in Kansas City at one point, right?
They did.
Was that the next stop after Philadelphia?
Let me pull it up real quick.
Pull it up. I want to. This is a great thing. I like this. I like your question you threw out there. I'm curious of this too.
I tell you what, that's
maybe the Raiders, because if you think about it, as many times as the Raiders
back and forth from Oakland. Okay, let's rule them out for right now because I'm curious about this A's question. I know the Braves have moved around a little bit. They started in Boston, Milwaukee, Atlanta, right? That's only technically 2 moves. How many of the A's been through?
Let's see. Philly from 1901 to 1954, Kansas City to 1967, and then Oakland from 67. Okay, so they've only had 3 moves, but they're about.
I counted as 2, right? You started off one place, you won 2 moves,
right? 2 moves. Well, yeah, but the
3
third
cities.
one pending. It's got to be. I mean, the Raiders have to be the most, right?
For baseball, that has to be the most.
Baseball.
Well, I guess they'd be tied with the Braves. I mean, the Braves have moved twice. If this Vegas thing happened, the Braves have moved twice.
Right.
Who else? Who else has moved? I mean, what was the?
I mean, maybe the Expos. The Expos have moved a couple of times.
I think they've only moved once, technically, right? They became the Nationals.
Well, but yeah.
Didn't they start?
Who became
the Nationals?
The Colt 45 became who? Rangers or Astros?
Yeah, the Rangers.
And then there used to be the Washington Senators. But I'm not sure what they became. Were they
they just closed up.
Did they?
Or no.
No, they were the Expos. They went.
Okay.
They became the Expos and then came back.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Pete will look it up.
Well, there were 2. Weren't there 2 iterations of the Senators?
Man, good question.
No. The Senators became the Twins.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I think I knew that somehow.
So 1900, they were there. So I remember this now. So the Senators / Nationals started out in the Old American Association, 1891 to 1899. Then they moved over to the American League in 1901. Like, they were closed down for 2 years, restarted in 1901, and then in 1960 they moved to Minnesota and became the Twins.
So,
but they were known as the Nationals from 1905 to 1955.
So if the A's actually, if this happens in a few years, they'll be the franchise that have probably one-upped everybody at least by one move.
Once, yeah.
Well, although the St. Louis Browns, and the Colt 45s became the Astros.
Okay, the Browns, yeah.
The St. Louis Browns were originally the Milwaukee Brewers.
Fuck the
way
Brewers.
back in the 1900s. Then they became the Browns, and they became the Orioles.
Huh.
Oh. I knew the Browns did become the Orioles. I didn't know what their origin was before that.
Yeah, it was very brief in Milwaukee.
So what do you guys think about this? I mean, we all expected, I think this is not a shock to anybody, and they bought the rights to land with the intention to build something. I wonder what that could be.
Did they sign the letter of intent, or did they like buy?
It's a binding
I
agreement.
believe they bought it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So they are going.
Yeah, no, they're gone.
So this
It's
is kind of
unsurprising. And if anything, you know what? This is probably a good thing because it starts to provide a little bit more clarity and moves us that much closer to adding 2 more teams and getting some sanity in baseball as far as there being, 16 teams in each league and a little bit more geographic rationality.
Well,
I just thought the crazy thing was that they said that they were only going to build a stadium that will house 35,000. That seems small.
You know what? But I mean,
that,
isn't that you think about it, Elliot, is it that insane though? If you look at what's Chicago, 42, 44, something like that.
I think it's 40. I think it's 44 standing room.
Low 40s or somewhere around there, right? Like if you think about it, it's not that crazy, Elliot. I think you look at even the jersey I'm wearing, they built a stadium for like 22.5, K people in St. Louis. And I think that when you are building something new like that, if you're not an NFL team, I mean, how much does baseball have to compete with? 162 games a year. There's a lot of competition for baseball for people's attention these days. And so if you look at so many stadiums don't sell out, so many upper decks are empty for most of these markets that I think it might be a little bit of a smarter move. Now, if they plan ahead and build the stadium some kind of modular fashion, they can add seating if attendance like turns on them and like, shit, we could use 15,000 more seats because that many people are showing up. Right. Great, but I think for Vegas, Pete, that feels like probably a smart thing to do for a baseball team to limit the capacity a little bit, but build in those provisions.
How much of an ingrown fan base are you going to have?
Like how many Dodgers fans are already there, right?
Baseball's a summer sport, so it's going to have to be an indoor stadium.
No, 100% down there,
right? And you're absolutely right, Ron. Wrigley is just under 42,000. That's its official capacity. Obviously, you can add more with standing and everything.
Well, there's physical limitations of what they can do with Wrigley at this point. But if you're going to build something brand new in the middle of the goddamn desert like that, I think they're being smart about it.
I agree. Because they're going to rely on, I think, a lot of what you saw with the Raiders this year or the last couple of years is a lot of fans of other teams flying in to have a Vegas weekend and to happen to catch their football team or their baseball team while they're in town. You're going to have a certain number of people, but with all the other entertainment options that exist in Vegas,
so many.
I don't know that you're going to have a huge, Las Vegas fan base for their baseball team.
Yeah, they're big enough. I think call it organic population at least there now. There's been a couple generations that's grown up there. I've got a few friends that have grown up and lived out there. So I mean, you'll have enough, but I do think it's smart to limit it to seating for right now. Now, again, if build it in such a way that if you needed to add seats, you've planned ahead for that, you can, but I think it's good. Look, all of us saw this coming years ago. We thought Vegas would be the likely destination. I mean, Oakland Raiders moved there. The Oakland A's are going to move there. Like,
they have a hockey team.
They have a hockey team now. When's the basketball team going to arrive? I think, do they have an MLS team? Might as well. Fuck it. Who cares? Bring them in.
Add one.
Add another one. But you talked about 2 more teams, Pete, and we've talked about that a little bit on here, but I don't think extensively. And I know that in the Gateway City Sport chat that we have, I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions on where these teams are likely going to go. I think some of the choices are actually pretty easy. if you look at geographically, right? Like what regions are growing a lot. And definitely a lot of them are in the South. And some people have thrown out even Charlotte as a Major League Baseball destination. I'm like, I don't think for teams 31 and 32, I don't think Charlotte's a market for that. I think you still have Atlanta, DC, and Baltimore that are just a little bit too close in proximity. So I don't think Charlotte's going to get in there.
Yeah,
anyway.
but I don't know about that though, because Nashville is not that far away from Atlanta, and I think that Nashville.
I'm thinking Nashville
up on that list.
Nashville
is growing so fast.
Nashville would be one of my picks, and I would have picked Vegas had it not been a relocation. But I think we all thought that was likely going to be a relocation. But I think Nashville is probably one of those cities that, I almost see it as a shoe-in. They're going to get a team. I don't know how they don't. Who else? I struggle with the other one a little bit.
I know there's been a lot of talk about Portland, but I don't know.
I don't think so.
Given Portland recently, how do you, seriously,
get it out.
How do you pitch
I don't think
Portland as being a wise move, given all the press that has been about Portland lately? I just don't see it.
I think Northwest is going to be a little tough anyway. I mean, with I know Seattle's not. It sounds like it's close geographically because it's one state north, but it's still quite a ways away.
It is.
San Francisco is still quite a bit south. So you look at that reason. I just don't know who else. I mean, Oklahoma City. I don't think so. Another place in Texas. I mean, shit. I mean, Texas is pretty big. I think Florida's tapped out. I don't know why anybody'd stick another franchise in Florida, but it begs the question too: how long are the Rays going to hold out in Tampa Bay? But I don't know. Baseball will be interesting. 32 teams. I just don't know where that 32nd goes. I think Nashville's a shoe-in.
Yep.
So anyway,
can't see him trying to fit anything more into the Bay Area, because once Oakland leaves, you know that the Giants are going to fight tooth and nail against anybody else added to that area.
Yeah.
So I think
and feel for those fans
are pretty locked in.
Feel for those fans there too. Now I know they didn't get a lot of support, but I know they've been like really pissed off at that ownership group anyway, much like the Pittsburgh fans have with the Pirates. So you're going to hear from this ownership group that city wouldn't support. The fan base wasn't supporting them. The city, county, state wasn't supporting them. You know, it's going to be just like the Rams move where it's all a bunch of bullshit. That owner just wants out of there. So fine, you're an owner of a team. Take them elsewhere, but don't shit on your fans or that city on the way out. Just a little advice: don't do that. You can ask your buddy Stan Kroenke, who had to write a check for about $800 million because he couldn't just be honest and just I want to be in LA instead of pissing on the city you just left. So,
what do you think, Elliot? Where's the 32nd team going to go?
I mean, you guys have a really good point. I mean, you can't go the Northeast. I mean, there's no.
We're left.
I mean, that's all dominated by the New York, New Jersey, Boston, Pittsburgh teams. I mean, like you said, you can't go south. I mean, your only option is Memphis, Nashville,
San Antonio.
I mean, possibly you could add another team in Texas that would give you a third.
The only region I can possibly think of that could maybe support it. I mean, unless you did something crazy, like you said, hey, we're going to put a franchise in somewhere like Monterrey, Mexico,
which I don't think they would rule out. I don't
think so either.
I mean, think of the states that don't have any major like major league teams like Oregon, Montana.
The Oregon Trail. I never called it that.
Yeah. Okay. Your Dakotas. I mean, you're not going to put.
There's nothing.
There's no hub. There's like no hub for these guys to fly into. I mean, you've got to do someplace like Memphis, even though they can probably house them. I mean, they're in the middle of a shit ton of teams. So it actually might not be a terrible idea.
He's got a finger up.
Alors, j'ai une idée.
Montreal.
Retourner à Montréal. Oh.
I don't.
Le retour des expos.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, Louisiana.
He started off high. Now he's speaking French.
New Orleans.
New Orleans? I don't know. That one. city, you know.
Where do you build that stadium, though? I don't know that there's enough room.
Right in the middle of the swamp.
It'll be
maybe they'll go Louisiana.
Flooded. It'll be the most flooded baseball stadium.
Yep.
Be the greenest grass, though.
Build it a little further north. You could draw.
You could, yeah.
Although I wonder if Houston would put the kibosh on that
Houston,
because that's their geographic area.
Think about the old KMX broadcasting range too, out of St. Louis, and that's why it's been tougher for like Nashville and Memphis to consider that because they'll be blocked by Atlanta, St. Louis, even into Oklahoma. KMOX signal used to go, so that's why you have such a big fan base that stretches out in that Midwest because of that radio station, right? So, yeah, it would be tough, but I mean geographically, I think Nashville's easy one.
Yeah.
Texas is the only other region I can think of that might be able to support a team. But I tell you who's not getting support. Did you guys see any of the clips of the USFL, this other professional football league that kicked off last weekend?
Did not.
Wow. Well, I think it was Pittsburgh and New Orleans, and that's what made me remember it. We were just talking about New Orleans, and I'm telling you guys, there could have been 130 fans in that stands. I don't even know where they were playing. It was just pathetic and dismal. And I was talking to Derek King a few nights ago. He follows the XFL pretty hard. He was a big St. Louis football guy. Just curious, it's hard enough you think it's like NFL is a behemoth. Like you're trying to, I don't think the XFL is necessarily trying to compete with them, which is why they chose to do their season when the NFL's done, right? Post Super Bowl. So you're trying to give America, which is, football is their favorite sport. If you look at it on the numbers right now, they're trying to give them some football when NFL is not operating. And then there's another league that tries at the same time. It just made me think like, fuck, why are these guys trying to do this together? I mean, and why are so many trying to do it in cities where they already have an NFL team? And I realize the populations are huge, right? So you can pull in some fans. I don't know. I don't see these leagues surviving. I just don't know how they do it. I think it's going to be so hard. They would have been better off like Canadian Football League, XFL, USFL. I don't know why they're just trying to not make a collective effort together. Not to go up against the NFL or compete with them, but do something a little bit different. How many leagues they have in soccer that work well, Pete? Like a ton of them, right? Like
and they all run at the same time.
I just don't. I realize there are a lot of leagues too, but they're a lot of countries right over in Europe. So,
but it's varying quality. Right.
Sure.
And you kind of have to accept that. You will absolutely have some stars because there are big teams.
But how do you go
in the leagues?
How do you go in North America from college football to NFL? It's all we've ever known. It's all we've ever had. We've never had that in between. Right. That's the tough thing about this, right?
Yeah, but for those European leagues, can't they aren't they at different levels? So if your team plays well, you can go to that league and another team gets relegated to
within a country, yes.
Right.
But like when you look at, for example, the Bundesliga, the Eredivisie, Premier League, Ligue 1, Serie A, blanking on one, I know. But anyway, those are all the top leagues in their respective countries.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there are lower level leagues, right? But like Manchester United and PSG, they're both equivalent as far as like being in the top leagues in their respective countries. But the level of competition in the Premier League compared to any of the other leagues in Europe is completely different. Yeah. It's not the same, right? Like Germany, Spain, France, Italy, they have 1, 2, maybe 3 teams that are absolutely at the top, and they're like the New York Yankees, right? They can buy whoever it is that they want, and they can put together the team that they want,
right?
And the other teams are lucky if they're able to contend. It's not that way in the Premier League. Yes, there are the bottom 4 teams get relegated, and then 4 teams in the second division get promoted each year. But the chance that those teams that get promoted actually stick more than a couple of years is pretty slim.
Yeah.
But at the top of the table, the competition's really good. It's like it is here in professional sports in America. We don't have anything comparable when it comes to the other leagues where you have the Yankees and then a bunch of other teams that just can't compete.
Yeah,
that's what it's like, for example, in Germany.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing about seeing these other professional football leagues do anything. I mean, college football has such a faithful following, and it's like there is no in between step that we know of, right? Like for baseball, we've been used to it. It's baked in where you've got, minor leagues in between most college and high school, or you call them amateur athletes. Minor leagues is a given. Most all players do it. Whereas in football, these guys are playing college and they are starting the next year, or they're contributing heavily in their team. We've never had that in between with professional football in the U.S. So I think that's why these leagues are going to struggle so much until there becomes and look, the lifespan of a football player, an American football player, is so short anyway. It's like you don't have that time that you have, say, in baseball to sharpen that skill or to do that, because it's so physically demanding that most guys are retiring in their early 30s. It's just a different dynamic, man. It's hard to get motivated to watch these leagues. And I know some people, like I know people back in St. Louis are starving for professional football, and they still feel a little bit chafed and robbed over it. And I wish they could have something, but I honestly, I look at this league, guys, I'm like, shit, I don't know how this stays around for more than 2-3 years. I mean, I'm just being honest about it. I'm looking at it, I'm like, St. Louis has supported the Battlehawks with 38,000 fans, 35,000 fans, and another 35,000 fans. Like, they have tripled like most of the attendance at every other, like even the closest XFL city. So they're there, they're willing support. I don't know how much of that is FU Stan Kroenke tickets that are being sold. But I just think this league in general, outside of St. Louis, I just don't.
Well, and that's the problem, right? This league is not going to rise and fall on the success of St. Louis. You guys can consistently sell out the Dome, right? And this team can win the league and enjoy support of the region, but they have to have teams to play.
The rest of that league has to somewhat survive, and it doesn't look good to me, guys. It doesn't.
Yep, I agree.
So I think some of these different leagues that are trying to start up, man, if they could have just done a collective effort, I think they would have stood a little bit better chance. I feel like they would have, but what do I know?
And you wonder what and you kind of alluded to it, Ron. What's your motivation in starting this league? You can't obviously you don't realistically think that you can compete with the NFL because you're not even playing at the same time.
No,
so what are your goals? And and I think that's what's unclear is what's the goal? What the goal for the players is, right? Mm-hmm. The players want exposure so that hopefully they can get picked and they can play in the NFL. But what's the goal of the league?
The problem is I don't know, man. I think if you watch some of the preseason stuff, you'd be like, the goal is to give these guys another look, a second chance, right? Which you look at a lot of, semi-pro leagues in baseball back in the day. That's what they were for too. Independent league. That's what it was for. Give guys a chance to continue playing, to try to get back somehow, some way. I think it just marketed themselves, and I think. The Rock, and I think that's what they tried to do, and that's why they partnered a little bit with the NFL for, being a test bed for rule changes and trying different things. So the thing is with the XFL is it's going to take time, and it's going to take more than 8 teams, to be honest with you, right? This league cannot survive on 8 teams, which is why it bugs the shit out of me why there was a USFL that launched weeks later with another set. Like, just fucking do it together, guys. So you actually have a league that means something. How many people take a league seriously when you have 6 to 8 teams? You don't. Your season's going to be short. You're going to play the same goddamn teams all the time. There's no drama to it, and there's no history. And for these leagues to survive, they're going to have to last a few years to start even building a history, building rivalries, building anything, loyalty, something. And they're
going to need the fans. I mean, the fans is the thing that's going to.
And you can't just have them from one city, though. It's got to be
right.
And I just think they're going to have a tough time, man. I hate saying it, but sorry to pee in anybody's Cheerios this week, but I don't think it's going to work.
Which is a shame.
It is.
Because the cities that don't have teams in the NFL and that have clearly demonstrated that they can support them, and obviously St. Louis is example number one.
Which the NFL like is never going to go back to after this experience, right? So big check they had to write. That book is closed.
It's their own fault.
And there's probably a little bit of a grudge right now developing because the fans in St. Louis are showing them, And you know that there are some of those owners who are like, oh yeah, well, screw you.
Yeah.
We're glad that you can support them.
Yep. Yeah.
But you beat us. Yeah, I think you're right. You beat us in court, so
yeah.
Enjoy it.
We didn't let you beat us in court. We thought we'd write you a little bit of this payment here to keep us out of it. But yeah.
But you were going to.
Right.
We didn't want to air our dirty laundry.
That's right.
Nobody likes dirty laundry. I don't either. All right, Pete, we've droned on long enough. We've gotten off the baseball track, but I'm glad it's back, but I'm also not intrigued by it yet. So please, guys, do something.
Anything. Sign MadBum so that we can talk about it next week.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Look, sure. Why not?
It's happening. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to comment and subscribe. And if you want to help spread the word, please give us a 5-star review and tell your friends to do the same. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts, as well as Rumble, Facebook, and YouTube. Be sure to check out the other Gateway City Sports Network podcasts, including the Derek King Sports Show. That's the Winter Podcast, Talking Sports in the Bleachers with Don Glenn, 2 for 3 with Moose Michaels, and I do believe XFL STL Back in Black. You can find Elliot on Twitter.
Maybe they changed the name, but
TOR_Elliot.
Oh yeah, that's right. They changed the name. You're going to have to give that to me so that we can fix it.
We'll do it next time.
And Ron at. You can find Ron.
TOR_Ron75. Got it. All right.
Nice. That's why he's number 125. Get in touch with us at the show at teamrivalspodcast.com or on any social media channel at Team Rivals Pod. We really hope you enjoyed the show.
Oh, shit. We're really bookending it? Okay. All right. Hey, Pete, thanks for... All right. Pete's enjoying the end of 420. Thanks for taking us out, buddy. We love you so much. Bye-bye, everyone.